Hello there. Today I watched the comedy film Quiz Lady and now I want to tell you about it. It's a story about an introverted woman named Anne, whose dog is kidnapped by a man trying to make her pay off her estranged mother's debt. She and her sister Jenny attempt to earn enough money to pay him off by winning a game show. The film was written by Jen D'Angelo and directed by Jessica Yu. It stars Awkwafina as Anne, Sandra Oh as her sister Jenny, and Will Ferrell as the game show host Terry McTeer. The story follows Anne and the growth that she experiences on her journey. We learn a little bit about her backstory, her sister and her crazy personality, and then we see how Anne turned out in the modern day. Along the way, we laugh at humorous situations, kooky characters, and Anne's hatred for the spotlight. Anne ends up reuniting with her unemployed homeless sister Jenny, and because of Jenny's impulsive actions, the two end up being contacted by a man their mother owed money. He steals Anne's dog, and Jenny realizes the only way for them to earn enough money to save him is for Anne to go on a game show and win the prize. The journey spends most of its time with Anne and Jenny watching the two of them butt heads and interacting with different gag characters. Anne eventually goes on the game show and participates in the selection process and then competes as a contestant. The soundtrack uses instrumentals and a couple of modern pop songs to support the emotional journey and punctuate a couple of jokes. Character-wise, most of the people Anne and Jenny interact with are normal people going about their day, but each of them has a gag personality or a funny gimmick. Jenny and Anne poke fun at them and the other characters join in. The film is funny and has a decent bit of heart underneath. It has a supportive, catchy soundtrack and a clear visual journey. Anne and Jenny are both well-rounded characters that are easy to invest in, and the two of them bring a lot of laughs to an already funny story. The humor in this film might be slanted toward an older audience, but it should resonate with anyone who has trouble with public speaking. A lot of the situations that arise are caused by Anne's reluctance to face her fears and her sister's attempts to make that happen. There is also something for everyone. There is cringe comedy, mocking humor, basic puns, goofy guest appearances, and even a few visual gags. One gag in particular stood out a lot. Jenny gives Anne some pharmaceuticals to help her relax, and it leads to an overdose scenario in which Anne starts hallucinating. The alternate reality that she inhabits looks hilarious, and I loved how they started out light so they could hammer you with the black humor minutes later. The cast does a great job of selling the humor, and the leads are supported by an ensemble of comedic actors who nail their roles. Will Ferrell, Holland Taylor, Jason Schwartzman, and Tony Hale to name a few. The two leads both stand out for their performances individually and together as well. They have a lot of chemistry between them and they work well as comedic partners. Awkwafina as Anne truly lives up to her namesake. She's an awkward woman who walks around with her shoulders slumped and a haircut that makes it look like she just walked out of your TV. She tries her damnedest to avoid everyone else, but shines whenever she's answering questions from her favorite quiz show. As her sister forces her out of her shell, Anne grows as a person, and Awkwafina plays that emotional journey well. She also does a great job of the humor. Sandra Oh plays her older sister Jenny. She's a mess of a human being who still doesn't have a direction in life despite being middle-aged. After inspiring a random waitress in a cafe, she decides to become a life coach and makes her sister her first unwilling client. She quite literally forces Anne on a journey of self-improvement and makes an ass of herself constantly. O turns the humor up to 11 and has zero sense of shame when it comes to playing this character. It's like a 20-year-old in a 40-year-old body. At the same time, she still has a heart underneath it all and plays the emotional parts well. The only downside to the film is the lack of creativity when it comes to the visual journey and the soundtrack. A few times in the film, they tried to do something special and it led to some good results. The hallucination scene was a good example of that, but outside of that scene, there aren't any other big visual moments. In terms of the soundtrack, they used a lot of instrumentals and only a few original songs. The instrumentals were generic movie music that worked well but didn't stand out much, and there were only 2 or 3 pop songs and they only used them to punctuate a joke for a few seconds. Overall, I think Quiz Lady was a great comedy film that had a nice little lesson at the heart of it. The cast did a fantastic job with the humor, Sandra Oh and Awkwafina did a great job of the emotional journey, and they're supported with the solid visual and musical experience. Neither is memorable, but if you're looking for something to laugh at, this film is great. As for a rating, I'd give this film a 7 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Bye-bye.